There we go, yay. I just wanted to say hi and thank you so much to Jen Ma and the wonderful people at Volcano for having me back again. Absolutely, oh, I get a new one. Absolutely an honor to be here again. I'm here to talk to you about trust. So 55% of the CEOs that were surveyed in North America by Harvard Business Review said that they found trust to be a major, major threat to their survival. But the problem is most people don't really understand trust. They don't know where to start. They don't know what to do about it. What is trust? Is trust an action? That action of trust is actually a result of what happens in the brain. You have chemical and electrical things that you can even see on an fMRI when you're doing research on trust that determine what trust is. And there are two types of trust. There's general trust, like giving people the benefit of the doubt when you don't have that much information. You look at a restaurant and think, oh, it looks good. I trust that they're not going to poison me and kill me. The food will be halfway decent. We'll go in there. So you go in, you get information, and then you start that interpersonal relationship with the product, the person, the brand, what have you, that you can use more information to determine. And that's when you get oxytocin and all the wonderful things that we can measure as scientists. Trust impacts hugely individuals, psychological and physical impacts on people, on organizations. It makes companies more stable and more profitable, and it also impacts communities. On the community level, you have higher standard of living and a stronger economy. So we start with the communities. You end up with a higher economy. People report higher standard of living, they're better jobs, huge amount of benefits for each community just from each higher quartile of trust that comes through. And this goes all the way through to the government level. If for every standard deviation a government goes up in trust, and that's in the business practices, the stability of the government, all the way down to the small business owners, you get more than 20% on average increase in investment in companies. So whether you're in the government, whether you're an investor, or whether you're running your own company, you need to consider trust as a major thing that's going to impact you. On individuals, it impacts your psychology. You know, it makes common sense. If you're working in an area that you have more trust at work, you are happier, you are more productive, you're making more thoughtful decisions as you come through. And the interesting thing is that the research shows not only does that happiness stay at work, but it blends off into your family. You have fewer divorces, you have happier outcomes with children with people who are working in high trust environments. Not surprisingly, it also impacts your health. If you're working in a high trust environment, your blood sugar level is more even. This helps if you have diabetes. This helps with obesity. The oxytocin that comes into your brain when you're in a high trust environment lowers inflammation, which has a knock-on effect on a lot of different diseases. It raises up your immunity. So physically and psychologically, it helps the individual to be in a high trust environment. Organizations, again, you've got happy people making happy decisions. They actually listen to each other. They're not busy worrying about the environment, so they make more profitable decisions. Companies last longer. They're more stable when they're in higher trust quartiles. And the ROI is tremendous because usually it doesn't take that much money, it doesn't take that much investment to put in to get the trust rising and to get the extra profits and the extra stability and all the other benefits that go along with it. But there are negative consequences too. Everybody, not everybody, most people think, oh yeah, I'm a trustable person, people can trust me, I know how to elicit trust. Kind of in the same way everybody thinks they're a good driver. But we know that's kind of not true either. It's very dangerous to assume that people trust you. It's very dangerous to trust people that aren't trustworthy. The research has shown that with salespeople, even, you can do a lot of harm to businesses by assuming that people just trust you. You have to work at it. You have to stay on top of it. And that's one of the things that I'm going to talk to you today about. The neuroeconomics of trust. I think it's the sexiest new thing out. It's so amazing. If anyone out there has studied economics, you know that monetarist, Keynesian economics, they go into great detail. It's all very beautiful, chasing that utility, and then they stop and say, but people, they're not rational. Well, people are rational. It's just that until now, economics hasn't taken in the psychological pressures that people are under, the social pressures that impact that utility. And so now neuroeconomics is folding in a lot of the psychology into the business practices, into the consumer behavior models, so that we have more functional models. And as a result, a lot of VCs are realizing that as you invest in young companies and even moderate-sized companies, you have the trust indices that will also help them make that decision on which company is going to survive, which company is going to grow, which company is going to be more profitable. So there's a lot of research going on right now within the impact investment world, looking at exactly what's happening on the trust levels of the management and the team to determine where that best investment might go. So again, if you're an investor or you're a business person, this is something you need to pay attention to. The problem is, we're now working online so much, we're working remotely so much, and we know for a fact that this really does impact our trust. We can't look into each other's eyes. We can't read each other's body language. We can't mimic that. There's so many things that impact our ability to work remotely. The result is we have a lot of great research looking into how to make that better. Today I'm going to talk to you about some of those that just came forward. Oxytocin. I could have like a whole nother presentation on oxytocin. It is so cool. We used to think that oxytocin was the love hormone. And there's some really interesting, Paul Zak is a great guy to go read some of his articles on the importance of trust and trust in business. What we're finding now is that's not really true. First of all, trust isn't a oxytocin isn't a hormone. Oxytocin's a peptide, and that peptide has a really interesting kind of paradox thing going. I love paradoxes. They make things so much more three-dimensional, right? So if I'm talking to you and we connect, and I think, oh, wow, she's really interesting. And we get all excited, our oxytocin starts flowing. Somebody interrupts us, we will be much more aggressive against being interrupted, aggressive against a third-party person that we consider outside of our trust bubble than we would do without the oxytocin. So I put forward that oxytocin is actually the mama bear hormone, or maybe the tribe hormone. Because within that tribe, within those people that's sharing the oxytocin, yeah, you're going to be able to read their motions better. You're going to be able to have all the empathy, all these beautiful things, but that will be exponentially worse for the people outside. So as you're working in trust, take these things into consideration as well. Also, oxytocin is really interesting because it's very easy to measure when you're doing research, but really you need to draw blood, and people don't like that. So we have pupil mimicry. Pupil mimicry is very cool because anybody that plays poker, or maybe diamond merchants, for example, train themselves to look, and when you see something you like, you can't control it. Your eye is going to ping, it's going to dilate. And that's why a lot of poker players, yeah, they're doing it to look cool, but also functionally, they're wearing glasses, they're hiding their pupils. And we've found that when people are talking, and they have that moment where they click, their pupils start mimicking each other. And then as soon as the pupils start mimicking, then you start getting more oxytocin. So you're able to wear these glasses that can even tell exactly the moment they dilate and what you're looking at to be able to do this research. And they're using it in advertising research. They're even using it in politics. I actually thought it would be funny for people dating. You could tell exactly when you said something that the girl liked or not. There are interesting ways that it's being used in research, and it's very available, affordable, and at least it doesn't hurt like blood tests and some of the other things. Remote working and trust in person, the research is showing you really need to be in person. The more you're in person before you're working remotely, it's putting money in the bank. The problem is, it wears off over time. And we kind of know this intuitively. If you think about it, a lot of the sales teams will say, all right, everybody, every quarter we're going to get together for a week, and we're going to have these things, we're going to bond. They have bonding, going away things. We know this, but the problem is we don't know what that balance is. Is it better to get together 1 day a week, which is what some companies are trying in Silicon Valley? Is it better 1 week a month? Is it enough to do 1 week every quarter? We don't know. And this is the research that I'm doing right now. And hopefully in the next year or two, I'll be able to come back and tell you the results of that. What we do know is that being in the same room with someone is putting money in the bank. So as much as you can, as much as is convenient, do spend time with people. And why is it important to spend time with people? Well, a lot of you may have heard of what they call microaggressions. Like little rude things that you can say to people, little nasty things that just kind of pick and build up into something really negative and really destroys trust and really adds stress to people's lives. We have micro additions too. Hey, I'm grabbing a cup of coffee. Can I get you a cup of coffee? Oh, you're having trouble with the printer. Yeah, I had that. Let me tell you how I fixed that. Even smiling at people when they walk in the room, greeting them. Hey, that's a really cool shirt. I love that green. That is so wonderful. Keep it real, keep it sincere. But the little things that you do throughout the day really do make a difference, and they really add up. The problem is it's very difficult to do that when you're working remotely. So if you can, think of little things that you can do, and this is everyone. I hate icebreakers, they're so uncomfortable. But anything that you can do to try to facilitate a little chatting, a little being a human before you get into the work actually can make a difference. And along the same lines, heuristic cues are apparently much more important when you're working remotely. Likability factor can actually trump real facts when you're working with people online. So turn on the light, point it towards your face so you don't look like a shadow trying to speak. Smile, be personable. These things really do make a difference. Interestingly, it's not just over video conference. Many, even before my time, there was an interesting thing with Richard Nixon in a debate with John F. Kennedy. And he turned his head and kept looking at the camera and seemed very unpersonable. And everyone on the radio thought that Nixon won. Everyone on TV thought that JFK won. So how you appear on screen does make a difference in trustability. And it really kind of sums up into the 4 C's. Competency. Are you actually able to do what you say you're going to do? Consistency. Can we trust that you're going to be able to do that more than once? Community. People forget about community. And you can use this to your advantage or your disadvantage, but going to the same church, going to the same school. Hey, you can meet someone, and we both went to Burning Man, and we don't know each other otherwise, but suddenly we have this connection, this trust starts. That is something that you can even look into as you're meeting people to be able to use. And character. The interesting thing is that integrity trumps all of these. You can be the most competent, reliable person in the world, but if your integrity is in question, everything else goes out the window. That is absolutely the most important of all the 4 C's. So, what will this move? It's not moving forward. There we go. What will enhance trust as people work remotely? What tips do I have for you with all this research? Well, so far we know difficult topics, do them in person if you can. It really makes a difference. If you can't do them in person, do them in video. If you can't do them in video, do them on the phone. The longer the time lag between you sending it out, the more people have difficulty with it and the clarity. So think about what you're going to say, and as more in person as you can do it, it really makes a difference. Also going back to eye contact. How many people have been on a Zoom call and you're talking to someone and they're talking to you like this, and that your brain picks up on. So they actually have cameras that will drop down, or cameras that have little suction cups that you can stick on the face of the person you're talking to, so that you actually at least have the perception of more eye contact. There's some other research going on that's really interesting that is determining whether or not you actually get pupil mimicry when you're having one-on-one, but so far that's indeterminate. Again, smile, turn on a light, be personable, spend time in person with others if you can. A physical touch, without getting creepy, just shaking someone's hand increases your chances of having a positive outcome in a negotiation by almost 30%. The micro additions make a difference, and also remember the 4 C's that we discussed. Interestingly, referring to points that someone made earlier, either saying, oh, what I hear you saying is this, or don't you remember, you made this great point when we met yesterday. Repeating back things that people said, points that they've made, is really great because people want to be heard, they want to be respected, and it's showing that you're actually paying attention, and that has a big effect on how people feel about you. They will open up to you much more easily and much more sincerely and honestly if they think you're actually paying attention. And information quality, again, if it's not clear, it's questionable. If it's buried in a bunch of other stuff, also suspect. So make sure that it's on target and clear. And someone just sent this to me. I just added this into my list. The University of Durham in England just did research, and it was very solid research on backgrounds. And they found that the more frivolous the background, palm trees, they all look cool, they actually undermine your credibility. Books and plants. They may not be exciting, but they actually add to your credibility as a speaker. So even living rooms in the background seem too casual. So consider not only the light, consider how you're presenting yourself, what you're saying, the target, but also remember, if you can, to put something in the background, be thoughtful about what's in the background. Even if you have to get a cheesy picture of library books behind you, they say it makes a big difference. And then I hate 10, it just seems too clumpy. I like doing 11 or 12. So 11 is transparency. One thing I just said to you is the University of Durham did this study. It was on CNN. If you're not so sure about that, you can go Google University of Durham trust background or look up the CNN thing. Being transparent makes a difference too. If you're transparent enough and you build up enough street cred and your trustability, people probably won't go back and Google everything you say, but the more transparency that you can offer people, the better. So I want to thank you. I'm actually a doctoral student. I'm doing a lot of this research now. So what you're hearing is a work in progress, but these are that is my email. You are more than welcome to email me if you want my bibliography of all the research that I'm doing. I'm happy to share it with you. If anyone finds a really awesome article on trust, send it to me. I might incorporate it in the research that I'm doing. But just remember, trust is so important. Whether you're an individual, whether you're an investor, or you have a new company that you're doing, or you're a politician, it absolutely will impact your company. That company will impact your city. That city impacts your country. And then it loops back. I love the idea of everything being integrated with the other. The country trust will then loop back to the individual, which will loop back to the investments into the businesses. It's absolutely critical that we consider trust in everything that we're doing. And I hope to see you again in the future and have more results of some of the research. Thank you very much.